is it in use right now? I mean, you showed a picture
Yes,
of it.
it is in use currently, but they're still testing designs and everything on it.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's Phoenix, by the way.
Oh, I'm so sorry, Noah. I apologize. Phoenix, I'm sorry.
There you go.
I do have a question for Noah. So when are they getting any palm oil out of the forest first that they're destroying, or they're just burning them down to plant?
There are sustainable harvesters, but it's just not cost effective, so they burn everything and then replant.
They just basically burn it down to get themselves land. Can palm oil only come from certain climates? Like,
yeah, it's
any
mostly
being
occurring in
produced
tropical
here?
climates. It comes from a tree called an oil palm. It's just a type of palm tree. But Indonesia has the highest rate of that tree.
how would it affect the Indonesian economy if they weren't producing as much?
Right now it's affecting it in a good way, which is why the government isn't doing much to help it, because Indonesia is a very young democracy, so they can't really go against what's making them their money.
Do the people there in Indonesia benefit at all? Or is it just corporations?
I mean, there's local harvesters, and even some of the local ones don't harvest sustainably, so in a way, yes, the community does benefit from it, but overall, it's just the price of it isn't fair.
I have a question for Cooper. Is the death rate for the rhinos the same as the death rate for the African elephants?
I did not research the African elephants, so I have no idea about that.
Do they target the rhinos, the government, and cut off the horns to take them away?
Yeah, there are some like corrupt government officials that would do that because they have power in that area, so they could easily access rhinos in especially Kruger National Park. But it's not very common, and sometimes even rangers would do that because the pay gap is pretty bad for rangers, and they're not getting paid fairly and evenly over a long span of time. So rangers would sometimes rebel and they could be a ranger one day and then a poacher the next day.
Do they dart them at all and remove the horns?
No. Well, sometimes, but rhino horn grows back in about 3 years, so that has proven not to be the most effective method. And about 45% of rhinos are still killed that are dehorned. So, yeah.
Cooper, have they done anything with the villagers in trying to incorporate them in the solution, knowing that as far as the park or using them in some manner that would be productive for their income?
Yes, they have, and 93% of people that live in South Africa believe rhino poaching is a big issue. So they definitely, the government is trying to right itself right now, kind of, and the villagers and people inhabiting the land are kind of helping them through a personal perspective of what's going on. Yep.
I have a question for Cooper. So when they poach the rhinos, do they just take the horn or do they take any other part of the body?
No, they just take the horn 95% of the time, unless, because the meat and nothing else on the rhino has a lot of value on the black market. Rhino horn can go for more than per ounce than cocaine in current day. So
none of the bones.
Nothing is valuable on a rhino besides the horn.
I have a question for Noah. What's the annual number of the deforested parts of the forest that you've been researched so far?
I don't have any information on that, mainly because Indonesia is a country made up of thousands of hundreds of islands, so it's kind of hard to track that, but I don't know. Thank you.
Are they labeling food now with sustainably farmed palm oil? Is that a thing yet?
It's kind of tricky. There's some labels, you'll see sustainable trade or certified sustainable.
Right.
There's really no way to tell unless you dig into the public information, but
Okay, so it's not currently on.
Yeah, it's still really tough to tell.
It's not. There's nothing that's regulating. There's no sort of regulating authority about what is sustainable palm oil. Basically, a company could just say, "This is sustainable," and it's have to trust
It's
them.
just their word.
Yeah.
I think the best standard to go off of is certified sustainable trade, because that's one to, like, it's producer to seller. No one else is involved.
Has like the contraption that they made been useful to help the fish?
It has been a lot, but there's still there's been some difficulties with it, but they're still working on designs for it to make it better, I guess.
Are other islands and communities in Indonesia benefiting at all from any of this, or anyone, or is it just the companies and corporations?
The
that
two
are-
major islands, I would say Borneo and Sumatra, would be benefiting from it, but smaller islands in Indonesia are small village communities, so most likely not.
Do you know if Indonesia has taken loans from the World Bank? That might be interesting, because I know IMF, if you take loans, there are certain things that you have to agree to.
Where are you gonna start some plastics out there?
There's corn-based plastics and also meat-based plastics that can dissolve over time. So yeah.
I was curious about that, the graph you showed, there was a huge spike
Yeah.
in the 2000s, and I think one of the cures you talked about, or one of the ways to solve the problem was education. I would have thought that we've been educated before that.
Yeah.
So I noticed it is starting to come down. What would explain?
The spike was due, like, a lot of Asian countries have like just found out about like the medical values of rhino horn, and they just started to like get on the belief that rhino horn could like help you with health, like have health benefits. So after 2014, there's been like constant like anti-poaching methods each year that have been being implemented and like getting improved each year. So that's why like I'm predicting that it's going to be closer to like 500 this year, hopefully, by the end of 2019. And it's going to be on a downward slope from here on out because rangers are starting to find better ways to combat rhino poaching with different solutions for the modern day.
So that was going to be part of my question too, was so the education that is associated with the fact that there's really no medical benefit.
Yeah, there's no scientific evidence.
There's no
that
scientific
proves that.
evidence.
Yeah.
Okay,
What are they saying are the medical benefits?
They are saying like there's a lot of like different beliefs out there. Like a lot of people in Vietnam believe it can cure cancer even, and it can work for like if you have like a cold, it can like cure a cold, and you grind it up into a powder and mix it with alcohol or water and drink it. And they think it brings them like better health and immune health mainly. Yeah.
I was wondering if those numbers about them going down, is that based off of the whole rhino population currently? So if it's going down, is that because there's less rhinos, so there's less rhinos going to poach each year?
Yeah, that actually could be part of it, but it's mainly because of the new poaching techniques that are being developed right now. But you're right, like there's only about 5,500 black rhinos, and that's like going down fast. So, but you're right, that could be a possible factor.
I think kind of like a question along the lines of you brought up. Have they thought about harvesting then? You know, having them fencing them up and cutting the horns off?
Yeah, there are actually rhino farmers that do that legally, but since the shipment of horn was banned in 2009, they can't ship their profits out, even though they do it humanely. And there's about an inch of horn under their skin. That's why poachers like chop off their face to get that extra inch. And if they're harvested like humanely, they just grow back in 3 years and no harm comes to the rhino. Because rhinos don't need their horn in the wild. It's just for like digging mainly and like to show dominance, but they don't need it.
Okay, did you find out how much you're still dumping a lot into the oceans, like it's a landfill or something in the ocean?
Yeah, each year actually America dumps around 242 million pounds of trash into the ocean each year, and China's probably the worst at it. Worst just because we're shipping a lot of our trash to China to be dealt with, but they are so much out of space and they have to dump in
Don't we have trash companies that are collecting trash and purposely dumping it into the ocean in
Yeah.
America?
Yeah.
Still,
Still.
none?
What are the penalties for poachers gonna cost?
Usually it's a life in prison, but there could definitely be harsher, like maybe death row could be an option in the future for like harsher penalties. I was debating about putting that on there, but it doesn't seem to be like prevalent because poachers already know the consequences if they're gonna get caught. So a harsher jail time wouldn't really. Yeah, I don't know.
I believe in on your abstract, you mentioned poachers are poor.
Yeah, they're
It's
very
almost a-
yeah.
It's a way of making a living versus, in Noah's case, you have corporate that are taking over the land. In your case, you have the poor that are doing it poaching.
Yeah,
because you're-
and a lot of them are actually ex-military. A lot of the poachers are ex-military, so they know how to use firearms and operate like special ways so they don't get caught. And they're becoming smarter, but so are the poaching solutions. So I think it should be down.
All right, any more questions for these guys?